Well, critical thinking is not as mysterious as we might think it is, because we do it every day, we do it all the time. And I like to think of the process that you would go through if you wanted to buy a new laptop computer. First of all, you have to know what's out there, you have to know what you need, you have to realize what you don't know, and you have to go and look at different types of laptop computers. You have to ask a lot of questions, you have to understand the answers, and then you have to analyze all this information. And it's a process that anyone would go through as they look for a new laptop or look for a new place to live or whatever. So it's not really that different from the process you would go through if you were making a purchase. But with critical thinking in the classroom, what you want to do is kind of lead the students along the way so that you start really at the basic comprehension level of the new material, but then you push them further and further, and you keep asking kind of why. And they're not questions that can be easily answered. And that's what I think makes it very interesting, is because you capture the imagination of the students and you tap into their natural curiosity about things. So it can be applied to what is the best laptop for me to buy, or some question in the classroom related to something they're learning. So I think that it's helping students recognize really what they're doing. And they're thinking critically when they can't answer the question right away, and it causes them to really pause and think. So. My favorite reading, well, of course I had quite a few favorite readings because we picked them, but my favorite reading was one that surprised me, and this was in the topic of, is it better to use what you have or buy something new? So we're looking at a little bit of recycling and reusing, and we're all in favor of recycling and reusing, But here was a blogger who wrote in defense of a throwaway society, and I thought, oh my gosh, how can you defend that? And when I read it, I was actually, well, he has a point. It supports the economy, and you save time, and why would you want something old? And I thought, well, yeah, he has a point. So I like that because it made me laugh, and because he had a good point, and I was surprised. And I really like that, to have a reading where it's a very different point of view, but I can see their point. So I enjoyed that reading. Well, I liked a lot of the unit questions because they were fun to try to come up with and fun to try to answer. But the one that I enjoyed the most was about global health and how do we prevent diseases. And the reason I liked it is because it took me on this journey through the topic. And we start out with something as basic as what's the difference between the flu and a common cold. Of course, I picked up a few good pieces of information and added on to what I already knew. And then we got into how we prevent diseases spreading on a global scale. And that I found just very fascinating. I learned a lot of new things. And we found a very interesting piece about an online game that had a pandemic that wreaked havoc. And it was just so amazing how the researchers were able to use the information about how people behave during a pandemic and have that information inform them about how to handle a pandemic. So it's not a great, you don't think of it as an uplifting topic, but it was very interesting, I thought. So, and I actually learned something.